Now, what's emerged from discussions with Stephen is he's been pointing out that there's something strange going on with the way people are speaking, prominent people, such as Christiana Figueres and even Michael Bloomberg. People saying that, hey, self-interest is going to fix the climate. Renewables are so cheap now that, come on, you just need to follow your self-interest. But also, we must keep going back to the COPs every couple of years to raise our ambition. Well, these statements are at odds with each other. If it's in your self-interest, then why do you need to raise ambition? There is billions and trillions of dollars floating about in capital markets looking for a good investment. That investment is going to, if it's in their self-interest, you don't have to have ambition. They're just going to do it anyway. So the thing that's rather dubious, certainly Stephen has been telling me this, is that self-interest will fix the climate. Well, self-interest will go some way, but whether it will fix the whole climate problem is rather more questionable. So how come people are in this state where they're saying statements at odds with each other? We suggest it's the result of everyone's failure to solve the free rider problem. People are desperate, so they start to try and talk things up. Okay, so moving to the visualization just after this slide. So the thing to notice is, partly I was inspired by that, that discussion. So what could I do to show an example of self-interest not fixing the climate problem? So, and something that's been around for the last year in the newspapers, media in general, it's in our local self-interest to reduce pollution, and that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions. As I said, Stephen's been saying that your local self-interest is less than the climate, the global climate interest. And that is borne out by this visualization coming very soon. And just to say that it actually assumes an optimistic scenario where strong carbon pricing will indeed, according to this visualization, raise the self-interest. Now, if you have a strong carbon price, the stronger the carbon price is, the more it is in the interest of anyone to invest in renewables. Once the price gets up to a certain point, then it also becomes worth investing in smart grids. So for reasons which are complex, which I won't go into now. And then even storage, well, who knows whether storage will become anywhere close to being economic enough, but people are hoping it will be. Other people are looking at advanced nuclear, some of the proposals are saying they're going to be amongst the cheapest, far cheaper than most fossil fuels, but we have to wait at least until 2030 before they even start rolling out at all. So yes, it's expecting that fossil fuels will indeed be priced out of the market eventually, and that emissions will be reined in this century. Right, so here it is. Now, is everyone seeing everyone else's pictures there? Because maybe I need to do this with it. Does that help? Yeah. Okay, so right now we're looking at 1960. This is a picture of the world, looking green in 1960 with the main economic blocks here. Here's my key or legend that explains it. So each block is, the population is the x-axis, it's going sideways. The per capita energy consumption is the height of each block. The city air quality is the sort of smoky bit in the middle. And the glow, this sort of beige glow, is a measure of greenhouse gas emissions, CO2 equivalent emissions. These figures here update as I go through. So I did say on the slide some of the figures are sort of estimates. The world color is going to change. It's a rough indication of the temperature rise stroke, risk of irreversible climate change. So as we move along, we see North America, Europe and Japan being the main sort of emitters. I suppose Eurasia, that's the Soviet Union, the Middle East, growing, and emissions increasing. But we're already seeing city air quality improving in these three economic blocks: North America, Europe, and Japan, with vehicle regulations. And so it costs money. You have to be wealthy before you can afford to do things like that. And really, per capita energy consumption relates pretty closely to per capita income. So let's go up to 2015, pretty much where we are now. So China, we're seeing lots of emissions. This is kind of going, the city air quality is now so clean in these places that it's kind of gone green. Africa is still pretty small, but it's growing. As we keep going, China is growing in wealth. Population has stopped growing, but we see enormous emissions, 2030, bigger and bigger. Now Africa, the population is absolutely exploding in Africa. If I go back to where was I? Maybe I can just type that in, 2030. Yeah, back here. Yeah, Africa's nearly 2 billion. And we'll keep going. India's growing in per capita energy, growing in wealth. And now everyone is becoming very green in their city air quality, but look at the color of the world in 2060. ppms, atmospheric CO2, I mean, these are estimates, over 500. And if I keep going, then everywhere gets nice and clean air quality. Africa's population, because that population is expected to grow up to about 4 billion-ish by the end of the century, partly in recognition that the wealth, the per capita wealth and per capita energy is not expected to reach sort of Western standard levels, which everybody else is expected to reach.